Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to tackle something called the Universal Journal. It's a concept from SAP that has totally changed the game for financial accounting, and it promises to solve one of the biggest headaches for accountants pretty much everywhere.
Okay, so if you've ever worked in finance, you know this feeling, right? The end of the month or the quarter. It means crazy long hours, a ton of stress, and just this massive effort to get the books closed. So why, after all these years, is it still such a nightmare?
Well, the culprit, the real villain in this story is one word: reconciliation. It's that constant, mind-numbing process of making sure the numbers from one part of the business actually match the numbers from another. To really get why the solution is so cool, we first have to understand the source of all this chaos. Alright, so to really get this, we've got to understand how things used to be. For decades, the financial world inside a company was basically split in two. This right here is the fundamental split. On one hand, you've got financial accounting, or FI. This is the stuff you have to report to the outside world, for legal reasons, for investors. Then on the other hand, you have management accounting, that's CO or controlling. This is all about what's happening inside the business. Are we making money on this product? Should we invest more here? And because they had totally different goals, they historically used totally different data, different tables. And you can see where this is going, right? It's a recipe for chaos and a constant need to reconcile.
And we're not just talking about double-checking a few numbers here. This is a monster of a task. You've got different levels of detail, special data fields for different teams, all these custom tweaks. And then you have to cram it all into some other system, like a data warehouse, just to try and make sense of it all. It's a system that's basically designed to create problems. But what if you didn't have to do any of that? What if this system was just right from the get-go? Well, this is where our story takes a turn. This is where SAP stepped in with a really radical idea.
And that idea is called the Universal Journal. Now, this isn't just some small update. It's a complete teardown and rebuild of how the data works. The concept is actually beautiful in its simplicity. Just take all the financial and controlling data and put it all in one single table. That's it.
And that's the phrase that matters right there. The definitive single source of truth. It means that what the finance team sees is exactly what the controlling team sees, instantly. All those arguments about which numbers are the real numbers, gone. Just over.
Okay, so how does this whole thing actually work under the hood? It sounds a little like magic, right? Well, let's pull back the curtain. It really all boils down to this one major change. Every single financial event, whether it's a huge sale to a customer or just moving costs from one department to another, every single piece of data now goes to one place.
And that place is called the ACDOCA. Yeah, it's a technical name, but just think of it as the one true ledger for absolutely everything. It's the heart of the whole operation. And this is where it gets really powerful. See, the ACDOCA merges all these things that used to be totally separate. Your general ledger, your asset accounting, controlling, profitability analysis, they all now write to the exact same place. There's no need for reconciliation because they're reconciled from the very start by design.
And think about what that means. Things like a profit center or a cost center, which used to live in their own little data silos, are now just part of the main record. They're not copied over and stored in a bunch of different places where they could get out of sync. It's such a simple architectural change, but the ripple effects are massive. Alright, so that brings us to the big so what. We've talked about the problem, we've seen the solution's architecture, now let's talk about what this actually lets you do. Yeah, what can you do now that was basically impossible before? Because it's not just about doing the old stuff a little faster. This opens up a whole new world. The biggest, most mind-blowing benefit is this right here: zero. That is how much time you now spend reconciling between finance and controlling. Nothing. Nada. It's already done. The month-end close is just completely transformed. This is a total game changer for analysis. Picture this. You're looking at your P&L statement, and you see some cost that looks a little high. In the old world, figuring that out was a huge investigation. Now, you just click on it. You can drill down from that one high-level number all the way to the original source document, the actual invoice. You can see exactly what assets or materials were involved. It's a completely seamless trip from the 30,000-foot view right down to the nuts and bolts. And the business benefits here are huge. We're talking real-time profitability analysis, not waiting until weeks after the month is over.
You can slice and dice your P&L any way you can think of. Comparing costs between different reports is now a piece of cake because you know it's the same underlying data. And it even makes things like compliance and producing balance sheets for different parts of your business way, way simpler. So, let's just step back and look at the transformation here. We went from a world of data silos to totally unified data. We went from painful, soul-crushing reconciliation to a system that's always reconciled. We went from looking in the rearview mirror with delayed reports to getting real-time insight to steer the ship. The two separate worlds of FI and CO, they're now just one single source of truth.
And that really leaves us with one last big question. When your data all tells one single coherent story, what kind of new, smarter questions are you going to ask? Because when you stop wasting time arguing about the numbers, you can finally start using them to drive the business forward. Hey, welcome. Today we're jumping into a challenge